So, Aidan, my man, right? I'm here with the top G, Aidan. Talk me through, bro. Why don't you introduce yourself for anyone watching, man? A bit about, your story before joining Trinity and everything else, where you're from, everything in
Mm,
between.
yeah, good stuff. So my name's Aidan, first of all. I'm 20 years of age. I'm from a town called Lurgan. I used to work in bookies before I get into remote sales, and it pretty much doubled my weekly income in one day.
Doubled your weekly income from the bookies in one day.
Yeah.
My man, right? So, obviously, before we get into that, right? Talk me through the journey beforehand, though. You're in the bookies, like, you weren't obviously a tradie like most of the guys that we have in. There's a few uni students there as well, but for you, bro, talk me through like why did you want to get into the bookies in the first place?
The bookies for me at the start was really just a part-time job while I was in school. Doing my A levels, I knew I didn't really want to go to university and party 4 or 5 nights a week
Yeah.
and piss up, a student loan in the wind. I had a few mates that were doing apprenticeships and they were getting absolutely shafted. They were up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and they were getting maybe £6 an hour.
Yeah.
So I was like, neither of them sound great. So I'm just going to stick the bookies out here.
hmm Okay. So you start at the bookies. How long were you in the bookies for?
Just over 3 years.
3 years, man, right? So obviously you got into the bookies. Did you know going into the bookies, bro, right? That it was gonna be the end all be all for you.
No, I knew going into the bookies that it was sort of just to get me by while I was at school.
Yeah.
And I think whenever I finished up in school, then I sort of fell into the trap of getting a paycheck at the end of every week, and I was comfortable. So I ended up sticking at it for the guts of another year.
Yeah, I get you, bro. So it was kind of the comfortability there. It's what you're used to. You finally finished up in school, you stayed there, right? So talk me through then what was kind of going through your head, bro, to make you want to get into something online? Because being from Lurgan, I mean, do you know many people from Lurgan that are doing anything online?
No, I think I'm probably one of the first ones in Lurgan. But yeah, I think after I'd left school and I had a few months in of working full time,
Yeah.
it was like reality sort of hit me then. I was like, right, that's me. I'm in the big bad world now. I'm not, in school anymore fucking about. So I was like, I'm gonna have to do something. I looked into tons of different things, forex trading, drop shipping, and I did try a few of them and failed. And then ultimately it was like, right, I need to get into remote sales
But talk me through that though, bro. Like, what was it that was possessing you to get into something online? Why something online in the first place?
because I knew with the bookies I wasn't going to get anywhere. I was going to be stuck on minimum wage. Even if I was to go into a managerial role, I would have been probably getting about 15 quid an hour. So I knew that wasn't going to give me the life that I wanted to live. And to be honest, like I wanted to travel, I
hmm
wanted to be able to get back to my parents, and I wanted a good life for myself as well.
Yeah, I get you. So for you then, when you talk about travel, giving back to family, kind of having that freedom to be able to do these things, not be what tied down to a job, move into a manager role then wasn't something you really wanted on the bingo cards then.
Yeah.
You talked there about lad past things you tried and you failed. What does failed mean? Is it like you tried them and failed, or bro, be real with me here? Did you even give them a good enough attempt?
Yeah, well, I think I fell into the trap that a lot of boys do, getting hooked into this copy trading
Oh,
fucking Telegram groups, thinking
yeah.
thinking
Fuck's
that
sake.
you're going to be the next millionaire here, putting on a few trades while you're in work. But to be honest, it would have been safer fucking putting my money on the slots and work.
I back in the ponies and or maybe
Yeah,
something in because you'd know them better than anyone else, lad.
yeah,
So obviously, bro, right? You feel like you kind of get sold, not like a dream, right? But it's very easy for young lads to fall into the path of copy paste trading and all these different things, right? But talk me through then, bro. When you say, I tried different things, failed. When in reality, do you feel like you actually give them your best shot?
no, I feel like I was taking the easy option with copy and paste trading, and to be honest, like I should have really knew. I need to learn an actual skill that I can actually contain, and I can go anywhere in the world with that skill, and sales was that what was what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I think a lot of boys do maybe get into the mental masturbation of thinking that they're actually doing something, and that was probably what sort of mindset I was in doing the copy paste trading.
Yeah. Because obviously you done it, right? You kind of will not say yeah, well, like, you thought maybe your expectations going into it were a lot higher. Thought you're going to be this millionaire, you're going to copy paste these trades. Then, you talk about remote sales, lad, but what was it that actually interested you in the remote sales? I know obviously you're watching my content and XYZ, but talk me through that sort of process.
Definitely a few things there. Obviously, seeing you from up the road. Um, but main thing was seeing people saying like you need to learn a proper skill, and the two main skills in business is going to be sales and marketing.
Hmm.
And I was talking to people all day, every day in the bookies. All the oil guys coming in, and I was like, right, well, if I can talk to people all day and make a living out of that, then that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously for you then, bro, coming into, let's say, Trinity to want to learn sales, right? What was your mindset like coming into it, bro? Because obviously you saying, yeah, look, I heard guys talk about the two different skills, but for you, not knowing anyone doing this in Lurgan, like, was there kind of maybe doubts going through your head coming into something like this? Because obviously, you said you kind of got sold a dream of copy paste trading. So what was different this time?
Yeah, it was a big commitment, and this time I knew like I was getting into this. It was going to be serious, and there wasn't any copy and pasting getting put on a plate. Like I was actually going to do the work. So yeah, I was very fearful at the start. I was thinking, what if this doesn't work out? But one of the big things that I was always thinking as well was like, what are people going to actually think and say about this? You know, like what is my work colleagues going to say about that? Like, what's going to happen when I actually do like leave my job? What am I going to say? Like, how do I explain that I'm doing something online that no one really knows about?
Hmm. Okay. So that was kind of the dawn process for you of maybe being judged by the guys, boys and girls. I would take it obviously guys that were working in the bookies in.
Yeah. Mainly that was the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, talk me through that then, lad. You obviously took the plunge. You got over that mindset of what other people were going to think, right? Talk me through that. You've been in Trinity for how long now? 6 months?
Yeah. 6 or 7 months.
Beautiful, right? So obviously coming into Trinity, bro, talk me through. You're on a roll. You mentioned at the start there that you doubled your old weekly wage, so you doubled it in one day, right? Talk me through the journey coming into Trinity, the road you're on now, and the money you made.
So originally, I think it was maybe September or October time. Then came into Trinity, and within maybe about a month or so in, I'd landed my first role,
Mhm.
and I wasn't really fully ready to take the full jump. So I cut back working hours. I was only doing weekends in the bookies, and then I actually replaced my income and completely left the job in around November time.
Yeah,
And from there, then it's just been full steam ahead.
beautiful. So that first roll you were on, that was were you appointment set on that roll or were you closing?
It was full cycle, so I was doing both DM setting and closing.
Beautiful. And how did you find that then? Obviously, coming into Trinity, you had no experience, right? So how did you find that coming in, the training, and getting yourself ready to actually jump in and take the plunge and actually take on this role in? How did you find that?
Yeah, I can't lie. It was tough. It was completely brand new to me, but every single call I took, I was sending it over to you. Every single conversation I was having in the DMs, I was sending it over to George,
Yep.
and I was getting so much feedback from the lads, and my progress just was so quick.
Hmm. So you joined end of September, early October. In a month, you had this role, you replaced your income, so you were out of the bookies in, or were you just doing
Mhm.
it part time?
No, so in a month then after I replaced the income, I fully left the bookie, so left in about November time.
So that's it, bro. Come in the Trinity in a month, you're completely out of the bookies. Now, obviously, you've been at this for 6 months. You're now in a new role. So talk me through that new role that you're in, bro.
Yeah, so I am on this role now. It's an SDR role. I'm setting deals that my boy Evan, is closing. I'm sure a few of you boys have probably seen his testimony, but Yeah, we help people break into tax sales, and that's where I had my biggest day then. So 600 quid in a day,
600 quid in a day. How old are you, bro?
20.
20 years of age, right? And then obviously Evan's fucking just turned 21, right? So two of you guys are working as a unit in this office. You're absolutely crushing it. See the first offer you got, bro, 4 weeks in. Where'd you get that offer from, or how'd you get that role?
Yeah, so I got it from Trinity.
Beautiful, right? So you got it through Trinity's network, Trinity's job board, and now then again, you're on this new role now with Evan. So this is another role that you've gotten in basically through Trinity's network as well. How did that feel for you, lad? Earning that £600 a day because you tried things in the past, right? We're kind of maybe sold a bit of a dream on it, right? But how was that feeling for you?
Do you know what? It was almost like a sad of relief. Like I can actually do this.
Mm,
It was like proof to myself then that this is it. Like I'm actually making money online, and I was making 300, 400 quid in the bookies most weeks, and it was like right, that would have took me 80 hours of work, 2 weeks of work, to make that,
mhm.
and I just made it in a day. It was a bit surreal.
A bit surreal, right? And like, bro, you're just basically on the phone booking leads in. And like, how many hours would you have done that day to earn that money?
Um, Between 6 to 8 hours of work a day.
Okay. So for you then, bro, now, right? Obviously being out of the bookies, you're, in a position now where you're earning 600 up to £600 a day. What's kind of life look like for you now, man?
Yeah. So like in January there, a few of the lads we went out to Marbella and we stayed there for a month. So making the most of the location freedom, being able to work from wherever we want.
Mm,
Now I'm back home in sunny Lurgan,
beautiful.
and majority of the days look like for me, I can get up whenever I want, and I can start work whenever I want. I can go to the gym whenever I want.
Mhm.
I can eat whenever I want. I'm working on my own time frames now.
Beautiful. So you kind of have that time freedom people talk about. You structure your days around you. And like for you, then you can train when you want. Like, so what you can prioritize your own health now for once instead of maybe bending the bookies. So talk me through then, bro, right? Obviously, freedom for you traveling, lad. Are you going to be staying in Lurgan for the next 6 months, man? Talk me through that.
Not too sure now, and not too sure if that's where I want to stay. Doesn't sound too pleasing, but yeah, like definitely have plans to go back out to Spain in the summer, and you know the way things are going. Once I get making good dough, like coming out and seeing the main man out in Dubai.
Well, obviously, bro, with you now being in this position, right? 6 months in, you're now, in a position where you're earning up to £600 a day, right? You have this time freedom that you're after. You have location freedom, you're going to Marbella when you want with the lads. You have that network, obviously, in Trinity to allow you to do that, right? Make connections, go traveling. If I was a 20-year-old and maybe I'm in a bookies or maybe I'm even in a trade or some sort of job, right? And I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to maybe you know, taking the plunge to invest in myself to learn the skills, what would be your biggest piece of advice for me, lad? Or what was the biggest thing for you to get you over the line?
Biggest thing for me that got me over the line was really just backing myself, man. You know, I I looked at it like this. Like if you go to the gym and you put all the work in the gym, you're going to see results. Where if you go to the gym and you don't train as hard or you don't eat as well, you're not going to see results. And that was a big thing for me then, because at the end of the day, people say, "Oh, you're going to get lucky, you're going to do this," but the longer you stay in the game and the harder you work, the easier it is to get lucky. And for me, it was just knowing then that once I come in, I'm going to do the work,
Mm,
and like just really putting trust in myself to do the work.
beautiful. And was it more reassuring to you to see, the likes of guys like Evan, myself, and young lads local to you that were actually in a position you wanted to be in as well, like just over the road?
Yeah, 100%. Like it definitely looks a lot more achievable as well then when you're seeing lads from Belfast or from Tyrone, you know, it's like, right, if these lads can do it and they're living 15, 20 minutes away from me, why can I not do it?